Welcome to the Choosing Happiness podcast with me, your host, Rudrani Devi, the Happiness Lady. Well, howdy, y'all. Rudrani Devi, the Happiness Lady, here again for another episode of Choosing Happiness, based on my best-selling book. Yes, shameless plug again. Speaks 8 languages. I'm extremely happy. The Happiness Lady is extremely happy, y'all, to have my next guest on the podcast. She is a repeat offender, but the last time she was on the podcast, it was the Get Happy podcast. Then we got rid of that, and we decided to base it on the book that actually was the incentive to get these conversations happening. So without further ado, thank you so much for being on the Choosing Happiness podcast, Miss Marnie Richman. How you be, girl? It's been a minute.
I am awesome, Rudrani, and thank you for the invitation. It's been a while since we did this. We did this, but it was a while ago.
Oh my goddess, girl. I think probably 2 years ago-ish.
Probably at least, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Time.
I'm telling you. And then again, it seems like it was just yesterday.
I know.
I don't know. Time is flying by so quickly for me. I don't know about you.
Yes.
I would like for my peeps to know a little bit more about you and why you're so special. Could you tell them a little bit about who you are?
Let me tell you why.
Why it's funny to be here on this planet. What is it you're doing here anyway?
You know, it's so funny that you asked that question because just this morning I booked an hour-long session with someone to assist me with looking exactly at that, because it's, you know how life is this always discovering and uncovering something new, and you find something new and you create something new, and it's super exciting and it's super fun. But if you're anything like me, then after a little while, you're like, yeah, but I did that. So now what's next? And then you jump to something else, and now what's next? You do something else. And so that's been the story of my life, and everything that I've chosen and created has obviously added value to my world. And there've been so many gifts in it, but I have been looking again at, okay, so what is it now? And what is it that I'm actually asking for now? What is it that I'm choosing now? What is, where from here? Not with coming up with a concrete plan, but following the whispers and listening to what calls. Like, what's that really deep place that calls me, that calls each of us, that we can't necessarily put words to, but we know it's there. So I've been really looking at that. And in sort of the exploration of that, a theme that is popping is that I have been so very good all of my life at knowing what everybody wants from me. And I can be it easily. I can do a lot of things. And so I have spent a lot of years, and my journey of this has begun a few years ago, but a lot of years of just trying to make sure everybody was happy, people pleasing, and I can fill this. Oh, I can be that for you. And sure, I can do that for you. And I'll fulfill that for you. And sure, I'll make you the priority. And then recognizing, wow, well, where am I in all of this? And what is it that I actually want? And I realized at some point, I don't even know the answer to that question, because my autopilot has been what everybody else desires, requires from me. And my job, I somewhere decided, was just to fulfill it and make it happy. And I do think there's a piece of that, Rudrani, when you come from any kind of trauma or abuse, and you're always waiting for the next shoe to drop, you learn how to so dynamically read the room. You know so clearly what everybody wants, and your way of navigation and survival is to just be it and do it. And then at some point for me, it caught up to me, and I went, that's not a bad thing. That was me being really smart to navigate the world I was living in, but I don't actually live in that world anymore. Right. So what would it look like, and how would I get there? What step would I need to take to stop just trying to be for everyone else what they would like me to be, and actually show up as me?
So what actually showed up in your world that made you go there? Because for me, it was like a series of little nudges of events where I'm going, gosh, what is it I'm not willing to actually see here?
Yeah.
You know? And then one day I was like, okay, I've got to actually include me in the equation. You know, it isn't just about everybody else. You know, I thought because I'm meditating every morning and I'm doing all my little ritualistic things and I'm taking care of me, but it started to feel like automatic pilot. Like, you know, am I really fulfilling what's fun for me, what's joyful for me? and making a difference in the world. So were there little nudges or little inklings of, you know what, something got to change here. I'm stuck. Or what
Yeah.
was it for you?
Yes, there were definitely little nudges, and I would say there were a couple of really pivotal moments as well.
Mm.
And then even post the pivotal moments, there would be the little nudges again where I was falling back into that pattern. A really pivotal one for me was I was married. This was, gosh, going on 10 years ago.
Oh my.
Um, between 8 and 10 years ago was kind of the process. And I had so fallen into being the source for my partner. I was nowhere in that relationship. I was nowhere in my life.
Oh,
And
wow.
I knew it, but it was also very familiar. Like, it was a very familiar energy to what I grew up in of you don't count, you don't matter. I do. And the other person did. And so it was familiar. So it took me a while to catch up to, oh, this seems normal to me. It's actually so far from normal. And I remember there was actually a moment where, have you ever looked at a picture of yourself and this went like, wow, you see something that you were living that you couldn't recognize, but then you saw it in a photo. I had a moment of looking at a photo and I saw this vacant shell, this unhappy, and went, where are you? Like, what happened to you? Where did you go?
Wow.
And that was a moment of, I'm not sure the way forward here, but I'm going to have to choose something different. I'm going to have to find something different.
It's interesting that you point out the picture thing. For me, it's like I reconnect with myself in the mirror almost every morning.
Yeah.
I look
Yeah.
myself directly in the eyes and hey, girl, we still here. What we going to do today? I never know how it's going to show up, but I can really relate to what you're saying. I was that person that was always like, I would call it picking and choosing my fights or whatever.
Right.
This doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to let this person have their way, not necessarily just a partner, but family member or whatever it was. It's not that big of a deal. I should choose my battles more wisely and just let them have their way. But it was happening 99% of the time. And then what would end up happening for me was I would lose it, and I would just blow up and look like a person who had just lost my mind in front of people and be like, hey, what about me? You guys, this is not a hotel, or whatever it was, whatever I was coming up with. But it's this interesting thing where you're so used to catering to everyone else, and we're so psychic, and you're right. And it's smart because, back then it was maybe partially a survival thing.
Yeah.
It was a learned thing. If I'm going to be able to make it in this world, I'm going to have to behave this certain way because this is how I'm going to be able to be received, even if that's not necessarily the truth once you leave your house where you're growing up and on all the stuff. But it's funny because I did, when I moved out of my house to gut it and add on to move my mother in, I boxed up everything. And then when I came back in, you go through that tedious thing of, I'm going to get through all of this and make sure it gets put in,
Yes.
I found a bunch of pictures. I found wedding pictures that I'd never even put in an album. I mean, now everybody's got Shutterfly or whatever, but at that time, back in the olden days, you guys, in 2003,
back in the old day.
Right. Same year that I started with Access was the year I got married. And that was like the beginning of the end of my marriage, which is so funny. But it was a bunch of pictures. And I'm looking at these pictures and going, wow, you was a really hot girl. Where did that go? And that was my response. I was like so carefree and not an unknowing of my future. Because I wasn't facilitating. I did have a clinic where we taught meditation and yoga, and I did I guess you could call them body processes. It was through a completely different organization than the one that I'm kind of with now. But it was just such a different time. And I thought I knew it all, Marnie. I really did. And it was when I looked at those pictures, I went, wow, I still don't know anything. I don't know anything. I'm just following the energy and going with the flow. And then again, I thought I knew everything. And then my team's like, why are you here? I mean, they didn't use those words, but they were like, get clear about what it is you're trying to create here.
Yeah.
It was life-changing for me. January, February. I don't remember exactly. It's February now. It's February 22nd for y'all listening in the future.
Which means it's almost March.
I know, girl. Can
What
you believe it?
happened? I know.
It's
No,
like,
I one thing you said that struck me is that you would just go along, oh, I can do that, just let them have their way, choose my battles, but then you would blow, that like
yeah,
the top would blow. And I think you just spoke about what is the pattern that occurs, and it looks different for all of us, but
mhm,
when we just continuously put ourselves last, it's always last consideration, last place, never eat the last cookie, make sure everybody else is okay. And we do that and we do that and we do that. It's not even that we're mentally keeping notes, but we will hit a point where it's like, that's it. And then we flip and it can look different. Some people blow and it's a big, explosion. Some people withdraw and they just go completely silent and flat and you can't
true.
find them. They disappear. It shows up in different ways, but the pattern is when we don't include ourselves in our choices in our lives and actually take a moment to go, okay, where am I in this?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that we have to fight for our way, but when we don't include us as well, we'll flip. And
Yeah.
then we feel like can I swear on here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Fucking
Feel
yeah.
like such an asshole
Sure.
after the switch flips. And so then we go back into the old pattern of make it about everybody else. Is
Right.
everyone taken care of? What do they need? Then we reach the limit. Then we flip and it flips however we flip. And then we're like, I did it again. And that is the pattern that we continue to repeat in one way or another. I would say until, and it doesn't mean we never fall back in it, but until a conscious choice is made to go, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm choosing. This is what I am creating. Unless I make myself a priority in my life and the creation of it, this is never going to change.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that you said priority, because to a lot of people that looks like selfishness, right?
Sure.
Why are you being so selfish? You always put yourself first, da, 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 da. And then you think, you teach people how to treat you, bottom line.
You do.
And if you have children, what are you showing them when you get to be the doormat all the time and then you blow up? And they're like, well, we expect that from you. You waited on us hand and foot our entire lives. Why are you getting mad?
And don't underestimate the power of the manipulation of the children. So when they've got a mom or a dad who caters and caters and caters, and then they blow up, and then mom or dad feel guilty about the blow up, guess what happens? They go back to the cater. I personally have witnessed children, and they don't speak it, but they know mom or dad's going to hit the blow up, but that's fine. As soon as they hit the blow up, I can endure the blow up, and then I got them right back where I want them. So
then I can get the new iPhone or whatever.
Telling you, it's tricky.
It is very tricky. So what finally happened for me, I was always gone during the holidays. I would take so many access classes and, okay, so y'all, I would sometimes purposefully try to make sure I was in a class during a holiday because everybody descends upon my abode and there's a lot of them. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of noise for me. I'm a very outgoing, but I'm also a very private person and I like the quiet. I mean, a big adjustment I had to make was watching TV every night with my mom. Of course, my computer's in my lap and I'm kind of multitasking and doing this because I can talk to her, create a class and watch The Big Bang Theory at the same time, whatever it is. So, and here's my point. So here we go. This Christmas, I decided not to renew Maestro. I was tired. I was feeling burned out. Hadn't really, I know I'm a Maestro no matter if I'm in the group or not. And this is just one of the access consciousness specialties, you guys that don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And so, so I was going to be home for the entire Thanksgiving into Christmas holiday. And my mother always wants to decorate. So I said, let's full on decorate. We hadn't done this in a while and all the things, but I was so tired, Marnie. And I didn't have the strength to fight or anything. And what ended up happening was I broke my wrist, a wreath hanging accident. I had the wrong shoes, standing on furniture. And I've done this for
Were
20
you doing this in heels,
I was
Rudrani?
doing it in boots, girl. I did it in boots. That, for those of you that aren't on YouTube, I'm just pointing this out to Marnie. That window right there, I always
Yeah.
hang this little red feather wreath. It's beautiful. 20 years, the same spot
Right.
on these 1940 gorgeous couches that I've never had the cushions redone. So they're not
Right.
quite.
Yeah.
And I leaned a little too far, went back, was going to hit my head on my desk over here. So I put my hand out, broke the wrist. Didn't even know 2 weeks later.
Ouch. Yeah.
Then, shortly after that, I broke my toe, and then I sprained my hand. I'm like, okay, body, what is it you're trying to tell me? Slow the fuck down, girls. What we're trying to tell you. So I didn't work. I stopped working out, everything. I unsubscribed to everything. I was like, I'm going to give myself a break. And I let my family help me. They, the Christmas before, I'm dropping F-bombs and GD this and all the stuff that I know are going to piss them off because he's Catholic,
Right.
Like,
you only go so far with that combination.
It shut them down. It did. And then the next morning, I'm so sorry I made y'all these muffins, whatever it was. And then this year, that actually stuck in their mind that I was like, you guys are always putting me last. I'm exhausted. It's not about mom and I cleaning up after you. You're grown people. And they, no joke, set the table, would help with the cooking, would actually load the dishwasher. My brother was vacuuming the house. I mean, it was like, when I finally was willing to let go of the control, it's got to be done a certain way and all the stuff. And I'd broken my body to the point where my body's going, you need a break, girl. Not a literal one. Don't let us have to literally break.
We don't want to keep literally breaking things.
But I had to give myself permission just not even to work out and get a little soft. I mean, I was going to come back in February and my body's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. And so March 1st now is my target. And I did go to the gym yesterday and it was amazing. My endorphins kicked in and all the stuff. And it was that thing where I was willing to actually, sometimes being the valuable product is stopping everything and reassessing. And that's when I came up with this.
Wow.
Why I'm here. And what I realized was what really excites me, Marnie, is when people are willing to step up, be the greatness that they truly be, warts and all. And when they're willing to do that, I love being that person that has their back and ushers them through it. And I realized I was already doing it. I just didn't have words for it.
Right.
And if I'm doing anything else that takes me away from that, I'm not really being me.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to get to. So I don't know if that's what your conversation was somewhat like with this person you were mentoring with, or.
Yeah. One other thing you said, I just wonder how much you walked out what you just put words to by choosing it for your own self, because you allowed other people to come along and have your back. And and I just, I know you asked me a question. I'm not trying to turn around.
No, not at all. But you're right. I mean, they were there. My whole family was having my back.
Yeah. I'm just curious, like, what was it? Because when you're a doer and a goer and you can do a million things at once, to actually stop and allow yourself to receive others contributing to you. What was that like?
Well, I cried a lot.
Yeah.
I actually really did, because I was finally acknowledging that I deserved that.
Yeah.
That I was a valuable that I could be vulnerable and say, I need some help, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hot tub in my backyard that I like to meditate in every morning, and I connect with Mother Earth and contribute. And it's so reciprocal for me to be in, with nature and all the things. And I couldn't, the hot tub had lowered some, and because it was below freezing, I couldn't really do the hose until during the day when it would warm up, but I couldn't turn the thing, and I couldn't squeeze with either hand. And I went to my nephew, he was like, I need your help with like 5 things.
Yeah.
He obliged me. And I said, I was like, I'm so sorry to have to ask you there. And he goes, don't be sorry. Look at all you do for us. And I just puddles.
Yeah.
Because here I was going, not acknowledging how much I am always having everyone else's back. I'm always there for them. What was I trying to be? Was I trying to be Superwoman? I mean, even those words coming out of my mouth sound so stupid. It's like, I'm another person on the planet. Yes. Why am I trying so hard? And why am I not willing to receive help? And I don't know if you've ever heard of love languages.
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
read the book many years ago.
All the stuff. Yeah. I even
Yeah.
did, went to a therapist that based his practice on this. And my first love language, which I wasn't even using, was helpful people.
Hmm.
Helpful people. I love it when someone, like your time,
Yeah.
help me out, like having these teams that we have in Access. I mean, it's like Vinny is God. He's like my rock behind the scenes dude, and he's busy too. And I get it, and and I'm like, I want to give him space to do what he needs to do, also. And yet, he still comes through for me. I'm like, how is he getting it all done? I'm not his only person,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm finally at a space now where I think, really legitimately, authentically being willing, and I'm going to start with the word willing, to receive, because
Yeah.
you can't actualize this, folks, until you're willing to recognize where you've been and be willing to change it. Because then if you're willing to go there, that's when the universe falls all over itself and says, okay, you should
Yeah.
have this. And
Yeah.
getting clear with what I was here for is actually bringing more people to me that are, a congruent, energetic match for that.
And
So,
you just took the word right out of my head. I was going to use the word congruent because that's been another piece for me as well, is the congruency. What I started, love how the universe gives us feedback. What I started to notice is that when I would put something out, whether it was a class or a product or something, when I was congruent and the energy was congruent with me and what I was actually choosing, I would get a response and people would sign up or they would buy the thing. And when I wasn't, and I didn't know it till I got the feedback,
right.
nobody would sign up or
Yeah.
nobody would buy the thing. And I'd go,
Well, they can't find you.
they can't find me.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I started looking at, well, what is that? And I went, wow, okay. So I actually somewhere have chosen in a different, not chosen in a different direction, chosen some new things, added some things. And I'm not being congruent with that in the world and how I'm choosing to show up. And so,
Wow. I
yeah.
would love to speak more to that piece right there, but I got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So take a moment for my sponsor, Manduu, the electrocution workout, y'all. Yes, I know you're going, electrocution. Rudrani, why would you have a sponsor that electrocutes you? Well, it's not quite like that. So we got a little commercial, y'all, to tell you a little more in depth about what the Manduu is, and it is not a men's hair salon. Okay? So hold tight. We'll be right back.
Manduu is a boutique fitness studio concept, and we are actually the first FDA cleared EMS training workout. And what we do essentially is that we will have a client come in, we will hook them up to a whole body EMS suit, and then we perform a workout on a medical grade device called an eFit device. And that device will send an electrical current to their body through electrodes in these suits that we put on them. And this electrical current is just basically stimulating the electrical current that you already have inside your body. So everybody is made up of electrical impulses. It's what helps you walk, helps you move. We're tapping into that and making it stimulate it more to where we can cause a muscle to actually contract involuntarily. So we can actually create resistance without adding a load to the body. So that is why we, as you see online, it always says ultra low impact. It is scientifically proven. It is absolutely ultra low impact.
And we're back with the Choosing Happiness podcast and my lovely guest, Miss Marnie Richman. Hello, Marnie. This has been so much fun.
Yes, it has.
And we've been getting kind of deep.
Yeah, we just sort of jumped in the deep end.
we did, and it's interesting because I find that we're having this conversation about things that have recently been very similar in our worlds, as far as oh goodness, this is what's going on with me, and how can I change this? Yeah. So before we left off to the electrocution, workout, pretty fascinating. You're going to have to watch this commercial later.
I'm going to watch it for sure. You have me very curious.
Yeah, indeed. You were just touching on, this energy that you be when you're inviting people to classes. That's how I would put it.
Yeah.
If you were authentically in congruency with what it was you were creating, you would find that people would show up. that, we're looking for that. But when you weren't that, you would get this feedback. And can you go a little deeper into that? Because I'm wondering, how did that show up? Can you give us an example or an awareness of when you realized, oh, ding, 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 I'm not being myself here, or this isn't what I really want, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say, so the feedback was in phases, kind of like we talked about earlier on. There were little pings of things, and I just go, wow, like in the past, when I did something like that, this was the result that I got, and then, wow, there was nothing there. And so first of all, it was looking at, okay, I know better than to fall into that worked once, it should work now. I know that.
Right.
But somewhere there was, I don't know, I guess maybe a little bit of checking out, or you're putting your energy over here and not really here. And so the feedback started coming of everybody's gone. And I would say even beyond that, people that I would ping a private message to say hi.
Yeah.
That would always respond to me within a few days or something. Nobody. It was like crickets. I was checking, is my Skype broken? Like, is it fucking broken? And then I just was going kind of like your breaking of all the things.
Right.
What is actually going on here? What is the thing? And I recognized that energetically I had changed so much with recent choices, with recent ways of interacting with family members, with all kinds of things. But I hadn't allowed me to sort of percolate with that, and me, all of the things be congruent in how I was showing up in the world. It was sort of, I don't know if this is making any sense. It was like all this changed, but it was over here. Mm-hmm. And then I went, wait, I need to actually be it. But I also got that the being it were the things that I had decided were terrible about me, or I was told were terrible about me, that I finally had embraced. But so if I actually lead with that congruence, then the things that I was dynamically judged for are now visible again. And I've been really trying to hide them. And I mean, some of those things were, my mother used to call me Little Miss High and Mighty. Ooh. And yeah, so, and well, see, and that was the thing. I thought that was terrible. And then I really came to, I do lead. Wherever I go, I lead. That is a truth. That's not a negative thing.
Your future, goodness gracious. You're
leader. I know. Yeah. But so because I took that younger as bad, I always tried to make myself less than. And it's so funny how life shows how we always choose and get feedback based on our little points of view and all the things. Right. Throughout my entire career, I would always be just under the boss, like just under the owner of the company, never the owner, just under. Or I would take here's the first place, I'll be second. It was, I can't be the actual full-on lead because that's Little Miss High and Mighty, and that's bad. I'm talking like you now. I got the Southern drawl going on.
That's what it is. I love the Southern accent.
I like it too.
They call me Sugar. You can call me Sugar forever. You don't ever stop calling me Sugar. I love it. Sugar.
So I saw that. Then the other thing I saw, it would be things like, well, you just don't care about your family. You put you first all the time. You don't care about your family. You don't care about anyone else. Note to self, that's bad. So right. I can never appear to make myself a priority because that's a judgeable offense. Mm-hmm. So when you spend a lot of years not wanting to be seen as these things that were projected at you, that you decided were bad about you, that you tried to put underground, and then your life journey and process in the universe inviting you to step into more is calling you to embrace these things as gifts and capacities. Right. And you go, okay, I'll embrace them as gifts and capacities. And then the universe says, thank you, but you're not quite there because you're still not being congruent with showing up as all of that in the world. And that is what is now required.
Gotcha. I love this. I say this a lot in my classes. How often are you the greatest in the room, but never as great as you? You're always putting your arms and legs up because you don't want to be high and mighty or whatever it is, whatever it is you believe. And even then, your mother says it, and she probably meant it to kind of keep you in your place, but she was very aware.
She was telling the truth.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I was a very loud child. I know you can't possibly imagine that.
No.
I started playing violin at 3. I was a virtuoso by 4. I didn't, people were showing up to see me, so I was putting on a show, all the things, and then I would have people say, "Oh, you just really think you're so special, don't you?
Mm.
Or, you're so blah 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 blah." And I'm like,
Mm.
and I realized later, jealousy is part of it, but part of it is here I'm being this invitation for others to step up, and they're not asking, so they get pissed off. It's kind of like if you spot it, you got it kind of syndrome. If someone's irritating you
Yeah.
about something in particular, maybe it's something you need to look at within your own self.
Well,
Say,
and how much do you, when you're being you in that way, mirror, you're just a mirror. And
Yeah.
so when somebody looks, then they see, just as you said, that part of them, but it's also, without maybe being cognitive, they're very aware of how dynamically they cut that off.
Yeah, it's interesting when you said it. It reminds me of I was working part-time in a jewelry store through college, and I had worked in the same franchise in high school for like holidays to sell during the seasons, Christmas, Valentine's Day, as early as Thanksgiving. And girl, I was underage. I was 15. The guy was paying me under the table cash.
Yeah.
Because he knew I could sell. I would be in the store with my mom and be talking to somebody else and actually talk them into a piece of jewelry. He's like, "You need to work.
Come work here." Yeah.
So all through college, all the whole time I was at UT Knoxville, I was working at the West Town Mall for Zales Jewelers, and they did this promo because they were going to stop carrying gold watches. So they had a couple of 14 karat gold ones, 18 karat gold diamonds, no diamonds, whatever. And you know me, I love jewelry. I can't help it. I am such a girl, and I can talk to the stones and all the stuff. So they said, bonus, everybody that sells a gold watch gets a $200 bonus on top of the commish. And I'm part-time. I'm only working on the weekends and maybe one night a week, coming in.
Yeah.
And so, there's a little bit of competition going on with the watches, but here I am being authentically me, the girl that loves jewelry. And I sold every one of those watches. But I remember this little story just brought it up in my memory banks. Somebody saying to me, "What are you doing? I think I was 17 or 18 at the time. You're blah, 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 old, and you're making us look bad." It's like, because I would always go in and straighten out the counters, try to make them look prettier. Like when in the holidays, a lot of stuff sells, and so you start spreading it out, or you insert other things. I made sure all the rubies was with the rubies, and the emeralds was. I loved making things look beautiful, presentation and all that. But I remember they said it to me, and my heart fell. And I couldn't be really around that salesperson anymore. I tried to make sure I wasn't working when they were.
Yeah.
My lunch break, whenever it was like. And, what is that makes us just stops us in our tracks? It's like, little Miss High and Mighty.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, how much perceiving the judgment and then receiving the message that being psychic like we are, from their point of view, it's bad. And what do we pick up on? The bad. And then we internalize it as I'm bad. And then, well, how do I need to? Well, we either shrink or we lash out.
Right.
Most of us do a combination of both.
I apologized like crazy. I was like, I am so sorry. He said, "You're taking money out of my paycheck. You're taking food out of my children's mouths." And I was like, "What?"
And this was a bonus.
So
this
bad.
Was not her regular paycheck. This was, anyway. Yeah. But you're correct. I mean, sometimes those words really land. And I wonder sometimes if we get hit, in quotations, the hardest where we shine so we don't shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They try to put out your light.
Yeah.
And then, and then you start seeing yourself as the darkness.
Yeah.
You're shining so much light on them, they can't even, they're like, "I can't see anymore. What do you do?" And you don't even realize you're doing it. So, okay, this leads me to the next question. And so what was it you decided you were here to do? I'm coming back around to that question. I'm not going to let it go, girl.
That's fine. I would say I haven't decided what I'm here to do. I get that it's always morphing and changing because I am too. And also, for me, you were talking about what lights you up, and then you acknowledge that you already do it. You just hadn't put words to it. I would say a similar thing, something that I have always done or been, however you want to phrase it, is somebody who inspires and empowers people to go beyond the point of view that they have to make their life about everybody else, that it's actually okay for them to be here and choose for them. And it's okay to stop being everything for everybody, stop trying to people please everybody.
Right.
Even if that's family members, even if that's, people that you have for a long time been everything they wanted you to be. And then you realize you're going to make another choice, not from a fight, but simply from, actually, it's not going to be all about you anymore. The river's not going to only flow one way. I'm here too. Not from, again, a fight, just from a, hi, I'm here too.
Well, it's like when I jumped into one of your teams once, and I was so grateful. Because it was something that I'd been avoiding. I did not want to be labeled an X-Men.
Yeah.
I thought they were crazy people. I had no points of view, obviously. But then when, you guys started going to the description of it and all the things, I was like, oh, fuck, that's what's been keeping me at bay, is that I have not been willing to be all the crazy that I actually am.
Yeah.
To not embrace my ADD, ADHD, and OCD and autism and all the stuff that, we weren't diagnosed, in my generation with those things. It was the generation afterwards. But I would have friends go, maybe you need to go get tested and see if you're blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, get on them drugs.
Right.
You're wrong. I'm not that person. So I was just always trying to prove that I wasn't that person. And for me, actually, that wrongness is a strongness for me, because being that ADHD and ADD keeps me so organized.
Oh, yeah.
If I have to be chaotic, I know exactly where to go to get whatever. It's like Celeste and I were at the store the other day because I really want some oatmeal. I said, Mom, we've already got oatmeal. No, we don't. We did it. I said, we're going to get a small box because I believe we've got some oatmeal. We didn't just have some oatmeal. We had one giant box of all the different flavors of oatmeal. And then we had a smaller box of another kind that she likes. And then this other box. And so I'm sometimes such an asshole to my sweet mama. She's, we get back from the grocery store. I'm putting everything away. She getting in her jams, her pajamas. And I go to where she sits down to eat, and I stacked up them boxes of oatmeal.
Put them out there for her to see.
And then she was like looking at it. And I started laughing. She goes, why are you laughing? And I said, this is the reason why being OCD, ADHD and all the things, autistic, really pays off, because it saves you money at the grocery store.
Amongst other things. Yes.
Right. So we got Easter coming up. People are going to descend upon us. We'll put like we do in our silver displays, the little packages, like if you went to a bed and breakfast.
Nice.
You can have the muffins, or you can have that, or how do you want your eggs, or actually we don't want eggs no more. You know what the eggs is, you cook them yourself, but here's the other stuff that you can get. And the coffee is, you just push the button and make your coffee. It's very simple. But it was the beginning of me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to compliment you in a big way, because you actually are already that person you was discussing about, because I witnessed it. You were so generous with me. And I mean, you guys, I was snot crying in this class. It was ugly. And yet there were so many people that reached out to me and said, Rudrani, oh my goddess, you being willing to be that vulnerable, embrace who you actually are. Because I wasn't crying, y'all, because I was sad or upset. It was this, it's bringing me kind of back there a little bit. It's that willingness to actually say, hey, it's okay for me to be this weird. It's okay
for me to be.
Yeah. I actually care.
Yeah.
Everybody would be like, oh, you're so selfish. And it was like, no, you guys, I'm doing this because I fucking care.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to admit that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you already doing it, girl. Trust me.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I had planned on actually being that being a facilitator. I'd actually did everything except for the advanced class. And then I went, oh, you know what? It's okay. That was just for me.
Yeah. Absolutely okay. Yeah.
I don't have to actually facilitate it. I'm more of a right voice for you, and relationship done different person. And that's okay. And the listening to the whispers of creative writing is one of my specialty classes, written, 3 books, working on 2 others. And I understand you've got a creation that's very similar to that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. It's called What Calls You, and it is a journaling course. It's online video course. So there's 10 videos and then journaling questions to go with. And it's really a lot of the theme of this conversation. It is just, what is it that calls you? What are you about? What do you want to be about? What lights you up? What are the things that you set aside in favor of everybody else? And is it time to bring them back into your world? And one thing I'd love to say, and you do the creative writing thing, so you know this, but for this course, I say, because sometimes people hear writing, journaling, and they go,
not for me.
No, and all that old programming of school and not being able to write properly, or red check marks on your paper because the teacher didn't like how you wrote, and all of the things. Sometimes people go into a lockdown about writing, journaling, creative or otherwise. And so for this course, my definition of writing is the expression of oneself. And for me, it can be pen to paper. It can be typing something out on a computer. It can also be painting a picture. It can also be a voice recording. It can also be, getting magazines and taking the question and cutting out the pictures that match the energy of the question. It's about your expression of your voice in whatever way is fun and freeing for you. And I think we get really good after example, your story, Rudrani, of selling the gold watches and someone making you wrong for it. When we have enough of those sorts of scenarios, we tend to internalize, even if we appear to be the feisty ones. There's a lot that's sort of kept in there of all of those things. And there can be something very healing and freeing about expressing it in whatever way you choose to express it, to really clarify what's true for you, clarify what calls you, clarify what lights you up, clarify just clarity on all the things.
I love it. You said, clarity on what lights you up. What I realized in that scenario about the gold watches, these gold watches did not light this woman up.
Yeah. How about it?
How she saw something she doesn't even believe in. If I believe in something, forget about it. I'm all over. Yeah. I'm not going to force you to buy it, but I'm going to be that invitation. And that's that congruency piece we're talking about. And what I also love about this course that you've created, or, getting ready to give to the world, or put out in the world, is that you're not defining how it is that they show up, because it's going to be different for everyone. I mean, I'm a singer songwriter, and I love, I always got my props ready, so it's like, I can write a song in a couple of minutes. I get a little earworm, and before I know it, I am sitting with my hands at my computer and notes, typing out lyrics and singing along and recording as I'm doing this. And then, I'll come back to it maybe the next day and fine tune it. And it's, to me, it's like with listening to the whispers. That's so funny. Listening to the whispers of creative writing. What I start with is, hey, you guys, if you have a desire to write, because that is a writing class. Yeah. It's already been created. It's already there. All you got to do is tap into the whispers that want to co-create it with you. It's already done. You know? And that takes the guesswork out. It's like, just be willing to receive however it wants to show up for you, even if it's a painting or a song or whatever it is. Be willing to receive it. Walls and barriers are down, expand out, and go, okay, I am ready to create this thing. I know the universe wants to gift this to me. I am available. I'm ready, and let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, the question that kind of pops for me with this whole conversation is, would you be willing? And you said that, because before you can choose, you've got to consider, am I even willing to consider?
Yes, ma'am.
So would I be willing to consider setting myself free to be who I be totally, even if it is so different than anyone else, and even if nobody else gets it? And would I be willing to consider following what calls me, again, if no one else gets it and it doesn't look like anything else I've ever seen anywhere.
I love it.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, girl, that's amazing.
You're amazing. And thank you for the convo. I am grateful.
This is, and timely too. I feel like this is like what cutting edge stuff we're talking about, even though it's really about just being willing to be yourself, y'all. When it comes right down to it, I can't possibly be me. Well, what if it was just that simple?
Yeah.
What if it's that simple? And we're the ones that are making it hard. So we might have to have you back on the
would
podcast.
Love to.
After you do this class and discuss more about that. But do tell us now, if people wanted to sign up for this class, and we'll make sure you guys have the information below in the show notes.
It is on my shop actually as of this week. So I will put the specific link to it and you can go right there. Awesome. And actually, I am quite certain that I have a $25 off coupon code that my girls have created. So I will pop that in as well. So you can,
look,
use that.
Kudos to you guys that know me. Ha ha ha. We're making it about me.
Right.
What about
the gold watch sales lady and seller of all things wonderful.
Great. Well, okay. So before I let you go, I got to ask you one last question.
Go for it.
Well, it is called the Choosing Happiness podcast.
Yes, it is.
So you got to let my listeners and the smart ones that are on YouTube can see how lovely you be and how my glasses match your outfit.
They do match.
Well, we did not plan it, y'all. This is just, our psychic sensitivity is being congruent. How do you get your happy on? What do you do to choose your happiness? What's the tail wagging the dog for you?
It's the tail wagging the dog for me. For me, the tail wagging the dog is, when I wake up every single morning, the very first question I ask is, what would it take for everything today to be greater than I can imagine with total ease? And I start my day with that question. And that would be one thing. And then I would say it's for me, it's the little simple things and choosing to receive the pleasure of absolutely everything in life, from my cup of coffee in the morning, if it's coffee, or exactly with the unicorn on the cup, or the tea, or Bill and I sit out in our sunroom and we have coffee looking out at the trees and watch the sunrise. And it's savoring the everything out of every simple and precious moment. And our saying, that is a kind of our motto, if you will, is every day a holiday and every meal a banquet. And it's how we live. We don't do anniversaries, or we don't make Christmas a big deal. And it's not wrong if you do, go for it, whatever's fun for you. But for us, something that we're very congruent on is, how about we just live every day as it's a holiday, and we enjoy every meal as it's a banquet. Yeah.
Yeah. Celeste and I eat off the fine china every night.
Let's do it.
Every night, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. And the willingness to receive how much everything wants to contribute to us if we just let it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Me too. Me too. It makes it. And you know what? Just one little quick thing, because we're talking about choosing happiness. So my name is very unique. You don't hear Marnie very often. And that is my full name. It is not short for anything. And I had to do some digging to find out what it actually meant. And it means joyful spirit. And
shut up.
Yeah.
Now you're just showboating.
No, well, come on. You do shameless plugs. I'm doing a shameless
No,
plug.
I love it. My name means something very crazy too. So not crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So joyful spirit. And when I reflect back to when I was a little kid, for a minute, I was that joyful spirit. And I lived in a very, very sad house, filled with sorrow. Sorrow was the prized possession.
Wow.
Sorrow was what people loved. And the incongruence of who I be with this overarching sadness, and how that sadness ended up really eventually consuming me, and then returning to joy by recognizing this is really what I am. And even if the whole world around me tries or chooses to be sad, I don't have to.
Right.
I can be the happy of me.
You can choose happy, y'all. You can choose
in the middle of anything. Yeah. In the middle of anything.
you can choose whatever you want. You can choose cranky pants. We don't have a point of view. You know, I will suggest this. If you do choose a cranky pants, get really invested in it.
Do have fun with it. Yeah.
Go crazy with it. Blow your top. And then laugh at yourself or whatever you do, you know.
Throw an actual full out 2-3-year-old style tantrum.
Right.
It can be really fun sometimes. And then laugh at yourself and go on.
I love it. It's been an amazing conversation. I adore you.
Thank you.
Lady.
I adore you too. Thanks so much.
I'm grateful that I don't know what I saw on Facebook that made me go, I miss that lady. Where is she? You know, I still haven't hugged your sweet body. I can't believe we haven't been in a class together in person.
It's been a while. It has been. It's been a while.
We can always choose something different.
That's true. That is true.
Well, all righty, y'all. Thank you so much for, listening all the way to the end because, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed this conversation, you know what you could do? You could hit that subscribe button below. You know what that does? That lets you know every time a new podcast episode come on. And I do a lot of lives. Every Wednesday, I do the hump day. So you might want to, if you need a little pick me up. And here's something else. Maybe you know someone that this conversation could have really contributed to. So if that's the case, why don't you share it with them? I would really appreciate that. And I bet they would too. Whew, I'm getting all worked up again. All right. Well, until the next time, y'all. Ciao, ciao for now.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rudrani.
Thank you so much for choosing happiness. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, share, and give us a like. And if you want more happy, subscribe to the Choosing Happiness membership where you can play directly with me, Rudrani Devi, the Happiness Lady. How does it get any better than that?